Every dog owner remembers the day they brought their dog home. The first meal, the first walk, the first night. Most people assume that over time, a dog simply learns to live with the humans around them. But canine behavior researchers have discovered something far more fascinating. Dogs do not automatically see every human as family. In fact, deep attachment is something that develops slowly, through thousands of small interactions that most people never notice. And when that bond finally forms, dogs begin to behave differently. Not dramatically, not obviously, but in subtle ways that reveal something remarkable. They start making choices that tell us who they trust, who they depend on, and ultimately, who they consider part of their family. The surprising part is that your dog may already be showing these signs every single day. The problem is that most owners mistake them for ordinary behavior. Today, we're going to explore 5 powerful behaviors that reveal whether your dog has truly chosen you as family. And stay until the final sign, because the last behavior is one of the strongest expressions of trust and emotional attachment a dog can offer another living being. Let's begin. 1. Comrade. They check where you are before they relax. Imagine this for a moment. Your dog is lying in the living room. Nothing unusual is happening. The house is quiet. No strange sounds. No visitors. No danger. And yet, before settling down completely, your dog lifts their head and looks for you. Not because they want food. Not because they want a walk. Not because they need attention. They simply want to know where you are. Most owners notice this behavior, but rarely think much about it. They assume their dog is being curious. But something much deeper is happening. Behavioral researchers often describe dogs as social anchors. Unlike many animals that navigate the world independently, dogs have evolved alongside humans for thousands of years. Over time, their brains developed a remarkable habit. When something feels uncertain, they look for the individual they trust most. The fascinating part is that they continue doing this even when nothing is wrong. Because trust is not only about seeking help during danger, trust is about knowing that safety exists nearby. Think about a young child playing in a park. Every few minutes, they glance toward a parent, not because they are afraid, but because they want reassurance that their safe place is still there. Dogs often do exactly the same thing. And when your dog briefly lifts their head from across the room just to find you, they are not checking your location. They are checking their emotional compass, their way of asking a silent question. Is my person still here? And when they see you, something inside them settles. Their muscles relax. Their breathing slows. Their attention drifts away from the room. Because the answer was yes. You were exactly where they hoped you would be. And the next sign reveals something even more remarkable. Because some dogs don't just look for their favorite person. They actively choose to follow them everywhere they go. 2. They follow you even when they don't need anything. At some point, almost every dog owner has experienced this. You stand up from the couch. Your dog stands up too. You walk into the kitchen. A few seconds later, there they are. You head toward another room. Again, your dog follows. Not running, not demanding attention, just quietly moving from place to place, keeping you within sight. Many people jokingly call their dog a shadow. Others assume the dog is hoping for food. But canine psychologists see something far more interesting, because in many cases, your dog is not following you because they need something. They are following you because you have become part of how they navigate the world. Humans often think attachment is expressed through excitement, jumping, barking, tail wagging, but some of the deepest forms of attachment are surprisingly quiet. Attachment is not always about wanting interaction. Sometimes it is simply about wanting proximity. Research into canine attachment has shown that dogs form secure bonds that closely resemble the attachment patterns seen between children and caregivers. When a strong bond exists, the trusted individual becomes what psychologists call a secure base. A secure base is not someone constantly interacting with you. It is someone whose presence helps you feel safe enough to explore the world. That is why your dog may follow you into a room and then immediately lie down without asking for anything. Their goal was never the room. Their goal was being near you. And here is the fascinating part. Dogs often make a distinction between people they like and people they trust. They may happily greet guests. They may accept treats from strangers. They may enjoy attention from many people. But when it comes time to decide whose movements matter most, whose location they keep track of, and whose presence helps them relax, the answer is usually much more specific. The person they have chosen. The person who feels like home. That is why your dog may ignore everyone else in the house and quietly get up the moment you move. Not because they are obsessed, not because they are needy, but because somewhere deep within their emotional world, you have become their reference point, their safe direction, their familiar place. And the next sign reveals something even more powerful, because when a dog truly considers someone family, they begin sharing something far more valuable than attention. They begin sharing their vulnerability. 3. They fall into deep sleep around you. There is a moment that many dog owners see almost every day, and yet most never realize how much it reveals. Your dog curls up nearby. Their breathing becomes slower. Their eyes grow heavy. Within minutes, they drift into sleep. At first, it looks ordinary. After all, dogs sleep a lot. But what happens next is where the story becomes interesting. Watch closely the next time your dog falls asleep near you. You may notice their paws begin to twitch. Their ears move slightly. Their whiskers tremble. Sometimes they make tiny sounds. Sometimes their legs move as if they are running through a dream. At that point, your dog is no longer simply resting. They have entered a deeper stage of sleep. A stage where awareness fades. A stage where they can no longer monitor the environment the way they normally do. And that changes everything. Because dogs are naturally alert animals. Even in the safety of a modern home, their nervous systems remain designed to notice movement, sound, and potential threats. For most of their evolutionary history, falling into deep sleep carried risk. A sleeping animal cannot react quickly. A sleeping animal cannot protect itself. A sleeping animal must trust that the environment is safe enough to let its guard down. This is why many dogs nap lightly in unfamiliar places. They wake at the smallest sound. They shift positions frequently. They remain partially alert. But around someone they deeply trust, something different happens. The monitoring begins to fade. The constant scanning relaxes. The nervous system finally receives permission to rest. In other words, your dog stops being on duty. And for a species built around awareness and vigilance, that is an extraordinary gift. Think about what that means. Out of every corner in the house, out of every room, out of every comfortable place available, your dog chose to enter their most vulnerable state while you were nearby. Not because you asked them to, not because they were trained to, but because their brain reached a quiet conclusion. This place is safe. This person is safe. And perhaps the most beautiful part is that your dog never makes that decision with words. They make it with trust. The kind of trust that is built over hundreds of ordinary days, hundreds of small moments, hundreds of reasons to believe that when they close their eyes, nothing bad will happen. And the next sign may be even more surprising, because some dogs eventually develop a habit that looks insignificant on the surface, but reveals just how closely they have woven you into their emotional world. 4. They watch your smallest movements. There is a behavior so common that most people never notice it. Yet once you see it, you will start noticing it everywhere. Your dog is resting across the room. Maybe they appear completely relaxed. Maybe they are lying on their bed. Maybe their eyes even seem half closed. And then something happens. You shift slightly in your chair. You reach for your shoes. You pick up your keys. You stand up. Almost instantly, your dog's eyes open. Their head lifts. Their attention locks onto you. Not because you called them, not because you made a loud noise, but because they were already paying attention in ways you never realized. Many owners assume their dog follows routines, and that is true. But the deeper truth is that many dogs learn to study the person they love most with incredible precision. They learn your footsteps, your habits, your daily rhythms, the sound of your breathing, the way you move before leaving the house. The difference between reaching for a coffee mug and reaching for a leash. To an outsider, these details seem invisible. To your dog, they are a language they have spent years learning. And perhaps that is one of the most beautiful things about love. When someone truly matters to us, we begin paying attention to things nobody else sees. Dogs do the same, not because they are trying to, but because attachment naturally creates attention. Think about your own life. There are people you interact with every day, yet you could not describe their walk, their habits, the sound of their footsteps. But the people you love, you notice everything. Dogs seem to experience something remarkably similar. Over time, your movements become important to them, not because every movement leads to food or excitement, but because every movement belongs to someone who matters, someone connected to their emotional world. And this is where the story becomes unexpectedly touching. Your dog is not just learning your schedule. They are learning you, the real you, the version nobody consciously teaches, the tiny habits you don't even know you have, the little signals that make you uniquely yourself, day after day, year after year. Without realizing it, your dog becomes one of the greatest observers of your life. And while the world often overlooks those tiny details, your dog never does, because to them, you are not simply another human in the house. You are the person their eyes naturally search for, the person their attention naturally follows, the person who became part of their definition of home. And the next sign may be the most emotional one yet, because it reveals what your dog does when the world suddenly feels uncertain, frightening, or overwhelming. And in that moment, their choice says everything about who they trust most. 5. They look to you when something feels uncertain. Before we continue, I want you to think about your own dog for a moment. Not yesterday, not last week, but the most recent time, something unexpected happened. A loud noise, a stranger approaching, a strange dog, a sudden sound outside the house. What did your dog do first? Did they immediately react, or did they look at you? Because if you've ever noticed your dog turning toward you in moments of uncertainty, what you're about to hear may completely change the way you see that behavior. In the world of canine psychology, researchers often refer to this as social referencing. It sounds complicated, but the idea is surprisingly simple. When dogs encounter something they are unsure about, they often look to a trusted individual for information. Not information in words, information in emotion. They watch your face, your posture, your reaction, your energy, and then they use that information to decide how they should feel. Think about how extraordinary that is. Your dog is not just asking, "What is that?" They are asking, "How should I feel about it?" And the answer they trust most is yours. Imagine a child hearing a loud noise in the middle of the night. The first thing they do is look at a parent. If the parent appears calm, the child relaxes. If the parent appears frightened, the child becomes frightened too. Dogs often do something remarkably similar, which means that in those small moments, you become more than an owner. You become their emotional compass, their reference point, their guide. And if your dog regularly looks at you before reacting to something uncertain, there is a very good chance they have placed an incredible amount of trust in you. In fact, I'd love to know something. Has your dog ever looked at you first when hearing a strange sound or meeting someone unfamiliar? If they have, leave a comment below and simply write, "My dog checks with me." I'm genuinely curious how many people have noticed this behavior before today, because the final sign we're about to explore goes even deeper than trust. It goes beyond comfort, beyond attachment, beyond routine. The last sign reveals the moment your dog makes a choice that cannot be trained, bought, or forced. A choice that tells you exactly where you stand in their heart. And once you understand it, you may never look at your dog the same way again. 6. They choose you when they don't have to. There is one final sign that brings all the others together. And in many ways, it is the most meaningful of all. Because unlike obedience, it cannot be trained. Unlike excitement, it cannot be triggered with a treat. And unlike routine, it cannot be explained by habit alone. It comes down to a simple choice. Your dog's choice. Imagine this. The house is quiet. There are multiple places where your dog could be. a comfortable bed, a sunny spot by the window, a favorite corner, a cool floor, a soft blanket. Nothing is stopping them from choosing any of those places. Yet somehow, they walk over to where you are. They settle nearby, maybe against your feet, maybe beside your chair, maybe across your lap, and then they stay. Not because they need anything, not because you called them, not because they expect food, simply because they want to be near you. This is one of the most powerful yet overlooked facts about dogs. When a dog consistently chooses proximity over comfort, they are revealing something about the relationship itself. In the language of dog science, attachment is measured not only by how a dog reacts when you leave, it is measured by what they choose when they are completely free. And freedom reveals preference. Preference reveals attachment. Attachment reveals love. Throughout this video, we have explored several remarkable behaviors. The way your dog checks where you are before relaxing. The way they quietly follow you from room to room. The way they fall into deep sleep in your presence. The way they study your smallest movements. The way they look to you when the world feels uncertain. Each of these behaviors comes from a different layer of canine psychology. Yet they all point toward the same conclusion. You matter to your dog more than you may realize. That is why understanding dogs is so important. Because many of the greatest expressions of love are not dramatic. They are quiet. They happen in ordinary moments. A glance across a room, a gentle lean, a slow walk toward you. The science of dogs continues to reveal how deeply connected dogs become to the humans they trust. And the more we learn through dog science, the more we realize that understanding dog body language is often less about reading behavior and more about recognizing affection. Many of the behaviors we discussed today are rarely included in traditional dog training tips, yet they may tell us more about a dog's heart than any command ever could. If today's video helped you see your dog differently, leave a comment below and write, "I was chosen." I'd love to know how many people recognize these signs in their own dog. And if you enjoy learning about understanding dogs, dog science, understanding dog body language, dog training tips, science of dogs, and fascinating facts about dogs, make sure to subscribe and join us for the next video. Because your dog has been communicating with you every single day. And together, we're learning how to finally understand what they've been saying all along.